What up, guys? This is another Brute Shoot, and today we're talking about the curveball that Dave Castro and CrossFit threw all of us at the regional, the bench press. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cool, they're testing bench press now, so I'm gonna bench press twice a week and get it up as high as possible. But are they really? Is it really going forward in the future? When's the next time we're gonna see the bench press? 3 years from now? 2 years from now? Here's the biggest mistake that most of you have made. That wasn't the first time the bench press appeared. And the truth is, a lot of you, whether it's an athletic awareness or even a coaching awareness, you lead athletes out there, you're not paying close enough attention to CrossFit.com. You're not paying close enough attention to the history of the sport. Right? Like the first time this appeared was in the team series, and it was the first year of the team series. There was a 3 rep max bench press. Everyone had to do it, and that was like the first sign to me that like, wow, okay, this is gonna come down the road. And whether you're athletes or individual or they chose to compete in the team series, like all of that is irrelevant and it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there, because the truth is you just gotta be aware of the test. And you know that if you pay close attention to what CrossFit drops on a regular basis, that the team series and that the invitational are both methodologies of testers, right? Like those competitions, maybe not the big money hitters, right? They're not the regional, they're not the CrossFit Games, they're not the Open, but they're experimenting on you. They're experimenting on us. How can they film this? Is it measurable? Is it repeatable? Are the athletes finding a way to cheat around this? Is it easily manageable, right? Like those kind of questions have to come up often in your mind. And if you're not paying attention to everything that they release, then you're gonna get left behind. And you likely had an athlete that didn't do well on the bench press at regionals because guess what? You didn't prepare them. Or yourself as an athlete wasn't prepared because you did not look into the history of the sport like you should have. So take notes, take details, pay attention to the history and study a little bit. Know where we've come from so that you know where we're going. And I know I've said this before on Brute Shoots, but I can't reiterate how important that is. Now, the other thing is that going forward, how important is bench pressing? I mean, how important was the max snatch at the regional this year? People still like maxing out once a week. How important was a max clean and jerk this year at the regional? It wasn't there, right? Those things weren't tested. Now, would having a heavier snatch maybe help you in that short workout with the snatches and burpees? Sure, maybe. But the truth is that we often buy into one movement at a time or 2 movements at a time where it's like, oh my gosh, I really need to hit this hard. You need to hit fitness. And the person that's leading your fitness, the coaches that are responsible for guiding your mind state, that are guiding for your programming and where you need to fill in the voids as an athlete, need to understand the test as a whole. Is running important? Yeah, running's important. Is it more important than snatching? There's a good chance that it is, because running can even appear in transitions. So how important is snatching then and building to a 1 rep max? How important is this inevitable bench press question? We don't know. So what I want to give you advice for to end this Brute Shoot and to think about is that look around our sport and think about every movement that you can imagine, right? Are you strong at something compared to the competitors around you? And specifically, you got to be mindful of your regional, especially if you're a year in, year out regional competitor or that level of a competitor. If you think about a bench press and you're like, yeah, these guys would crush me in a bench press workout, you need to bring it up. You probably need to be doing it once or twice a week, and that's okay. But there are other competitors, myself in general, like the bench press historically was a pretty strong lift for me. I haven't done it very often throughout the years because it's a pretty strong lift for me. So whether it came up in this workout with 65 reps at or 55 reps at 195 pounds, it would have been a non-concern. I myself may need to overhead squat more often than you do though, right? And you gotta always be thinking about and balancing too, if I start bench pressing once or twice a week to bring that up, will it cost me in my overhead position and stability with the clean and jerk or with the snatch or with the overhead squat or with a single arm dumbbell overhead squat? Like you gotta think where your limitations lie. And then we also always have to be considering what is the true measure of fitness, right? And we need to be growing in those directions. So guys, while the bench press has now been introduced to us at the main level of competition at the regionals, don't get too caught up in giving it more value than it deserves. But recognize where you're at, and if the bench press is something that scares you, do it more often. The same goes for running, the same goes for snatching, and the same goes for the clean and jerk, right? They all are gonna be amassed and allotted the same amount of points when they come up in an event. And then the CrossFit Games, it's not more often than once that we don't see several maxes, right? We might see 1 or 2. So don't give certain lifts more credit than they deserve. Well-round yourself as much as possible. Try to grow your fitness circle out in all even directions. When you have one glaring weakness, attack it.